Continuing with this book, Swami Vivekananda Life and Teachings, we have reached to chapter 19, to the Himalayas. After a few days, the plague relief work was over and there was no more danger. Swamiji, with some of his brother monks and the Western disciples, then went to the Himalayas. The journey was an interesting one. They passed through Patna, Banaras, Lucknow, and many other places. Swamiji told them the history and greatness of every city. He told them about the Indian people and their life, their religion and culture. They stopped first at Nainital and then went to Almora. As always, Swamiji met many people and talked with them. He also explained many things about India to his Western disciples. Sister Nivedita has recorded some of these conversations in one of her books. After about a month, Swamiji went to Kashmir with his Western disciples. They traveled through much of his Western disciples' Kashmir. Part of the way in the houseboats, they enjoyed the scenery very much. Swamiji explained many things about the people and history of Kashmir. Swamiji taught and spoke about Shiva at this time. He decided to make a pilgrimage to the cave of Amarnath deep in the Himalayas, where there was an ice image of Shiva. Sister Nivedita was allowed to go with him. It was an interesting trip. They passed through some of the most beautiful sceneries in the world. Many other people were also in the party, men, women, and children from all parts of India, and also monks of many orders. When they halted for the night, a town of tents would quickly spring up. Many of the monks went to Swamiji to learn from him. The journey was not easy one. They had to climb high glaciers, and once their camp was at 18,000 feet above sea level, sometimes the path led close to the edge of a steep cliff. Swamiji followed all the customs of the pilgrimage and took baths in the stream, even though it was bitterly cold. On August 2nd, they reached Amarnath. Swamiji's mind at this moment was completely filled with thoughts of Shiva. With great devotion, he entered the cave of Amarnath and bowed before the ice image of Shiva. The cave was a huge one. Many people were standing there and they chanted songs in praise of Shiva. Swamiji had a great spiritual experience. Swamiji was all over. Shiva was his all in one. Shiva at the great monk, the eternal one. Such were his thoughts. For days afterwards, Swamiji talked of nothing but of Shiva. From Amarnath, Swamiji returned to Srinagar, where he stayed until the end of September. Here he spent more and more time in meditation. He often went by himself and stayed alone for days. But whenever he was with his disciples, he thrilled them with his ideas and helped them to understand India. While at Srinagar, Swamiji began to think more and more about God as the Divine Mother. Often he was heard singing the songs of Ram Prasad, a Bengali mystic and writer of songs about the Divine Mother. Sometimes he behaved as if he was a mere child of the Divine Mother. He felt that Mother led him everything that he did. Sometimes he meditated for long hours upon her. He would take the boat to a lonely place, then meditate upon Kali the Mother. This continued for several days until he had a vision of Kali. Kali seemed to fill his whole mind. It was at this time that he wrote the poem Kali the Mother, one of his best poems. He felt that it was a mother who did everything and that he was just a plaything in her hands. All his plans about the future of India disappeared. He was now only a child without any wish of his own and depending always upon mother. So, now this is the end of chapter 19. Coming to